Today's guest is Adam from Industra Coffee, Adam Obratil, and he's one of the guys behind the Industra Coffee roastery. You also have a cafe in Brno in Brno, in the Czech Republic. But Adam, could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your coffee journey?
Sure. So I'm Adam. I've started my coffee journey in 2012 when I worked at Costa Coffee in London, just as a part-time job during universities. Between. And I went around London and saw one of the best specialty cafes at that time.
Mhm.
I went to Proof Rock. I went to Taylor Street Baristas, Nude, Caffeine. And it really was different. They played a great music. They had beautiful machines, which I was mostly interested in. They had a naked portafilter,
Okay.
and I'd be like, "Whoa, this is like I need to do this."
And what year was it?
2012.
Okay.
And I went back to Brno, and at that time, I wanted to find part-time in coffee, but there was only Coffee Fusion,
Mhm.
and Michael wasn't looking for anyone at the time. And then there was Mite, but my trial shift was really slow, and I felt like I'm not gonna be able to learn from no one because I'll be on my own on the shift,
Mhm.
all the time at Mite.
Yes.
So thanks to Petra as well, I went back to London and worked for Taylor Street Baristas. During that time, Petra started to work at Proof Rock, first in the kitchen, but then she moved behind the bar as well. And at some point, we decided, we'd like to do things maybe differently, maybe our own way, but also at home, because London is like people come and go. And so it's hard to make friends, it's hard to make relationships. It's like people are always just come and go. So we moved back to Brno and wanted to open our own thing. And because we saw that in London you could do pop up in clothes boutique or maybe bookstore, just pop up in the corner. We were like, there is no way we pay the rent in Brno. Like there is no way we go for like something like real. We find something and we start and see if it even works. And the first idea was like to do the best coffee we could, because that's what we knew. Like we didn't really know how to run a cafe. Petra knew how to bake and cook, that's for sure. But so we were searching around and we found Industra, and the guys were kind of starting. I think they just did their first exhibition ever back in the ice, like frozen storage factory. And after like 2 months and a bit of preparations, we opened Industra Coffee there. And so that was November 2013. So it's been 9 years. Just 2 days ago or something.
It's quite a journey.
Yeah.
It definitely helped your background in those famous coffee shops in London, like Brno.
Well, I'm not sure. Like it helped with the skills and the experience. I'm not sure if maybe some people came in and were like, yeah, let's see what these guys are doing, just because they have experience from abroad. But I think that works in every situation, in every human work.
Yeah.
Like if you get experience abroad, it's always good.
But it was quite a learning curve for you, I suppose. Like starting a new coffee shop in Brno, it was probably some challenges.
I mean, it is always a learning curve. Like we started just the two of us, and then we've learned how to work with other people, and we are still learning, because at first it was like us and the helpers.
Yeah.
If I may say, I hope it wouldn't offend anyone, but now we need, or we'd like to like turn it into like us and the other pros that just we work together, and we don't always have to be like the most experienced in that stuff.
I see.
But that's the tricky part. Like making coffee is the easy part. I feel like just human relations and like team dynamics, all that motivation, or just keeping the standard. That's the tricky part.
You said yourself it was 9-year anniversary a few days ago, so next year it will be 10 years.
Yeah,
which is a very long way, so a decade, which is great. But did you, when you were starting back in 2013, did you imagine that all this would be happening? Because now you have your own roastery, you have to move.
No way. Like
pop-up stores and
so we really, like, what we wanted was to do the best coffee we could, because at that time, and that's partly because we were young and arrogant, we were like, we can do this better than Brno does it, you know. And I think in the beginning, like, we had the edge, but then the game in Prague and also Brno, like the quality went higher. So I think even still, like, we feel like our coffee is really tasty. I don't think it's the best coffee in Czech, you know. Like, I wouldn't say it's one of the greatest, but I'm careful with like saying, oh, this is the way you should do it. We didn't really imagine having a roastery, as I mentioned before. In the beginning, we felt like it's super hard to do it because we didn't really like other people's coffee so much. Like, and I think it's more of a, now I understand it, is more like a preference, personal preference, and the roasting style that other people do. It's not like I believe if you have the strong idea of what you want to achieve, and you have the understanding of the roasting machine, you can get there. And also, like, you know, sourcing great green beans and sourcing the greens that suit what you like to present and serve in a cafe. So for us, it's a great step in that journey, but we were always afraid of it, actually. Like, for years, it felt like the business would be so big and it's so different. And it is, like, you know, you're dealing with huge, like, for us, a big amount of money at once. Like, you buy 700 kilos of green coffee and you're like, oof, it's plenty of money, and it just sits here and we need to sell it. So we turn in, it's like cash flow issues, stuff like this. It's never been something we are comfortable with. Like, we always were more of a coffee people rather than business people. We try to find our way.
But it speaks volumes that, you know, you are successful in all the endeavors. But what do you think was the key for, like, transforming from coffee people to business people?
Well, I wouldn't say we transformed. Like, we just learning. And we have to learn, and we have to move it from somewhere, you know, because in the beginning, it was just two of us behind the bar, and some people can do it for their whole life, but we didn't feel like it, and we have a 3-year-old daughter, and we just needed to, like, shift our role in the business, so we need to do other stuff.
So it was natural evolution.
I think so. And it was like, at first it was hard for us too, like, just teaching someone how to do it our way, and giving them the responsibility, and just being cool with having other people behind the bar was also part of the struggle.
So how does it feel like? And
it feels great, like just walking in here and having a good team behind the bar. You know, there is always like this. Like having a busy cafe, when you walk in and, you know, it runs, people are coming for your coffee, people are buying your products, and they're part of the group of people who enjoy coming in here, it's always great because that's why we do it, you know. Like, why else? Like, what would be the other reason?
And truth be told, like your coffee shops, they have great atmosphere. Anytime I walked in, it's always nice being in, and your staff is also amazing. Like you feel very welcomed, and it's great. But anyway, so you are part of the bigger industrial hub, which is not just about coffee, but it's also about arts, creativity, gallery.
Yeah.
So how do you think the coffee fits in? Like, where
Well,
it
it could be just the time, the spot, you know, like the theater. There is a residential group who plays here, but they also get in other residents, and they bring in other theater plays. But it, you know, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they have rehearsals, sometimes there is no one in here. And the cafe is always open. Like it's got 5 days opening days, and it's like you can be sure whenever you come in, the cafe works, and then the rest is like, you know, sometimes something is happening, sometimes it's closed, and it naturally feels like the cafe should be here. And Industra wanted to have a cafe back in the old freezing factory before they met us, but that would be, you know, this kind of sad, only just to have a cafe kind of cafe. But we felt like we could do it better, and so I think that also helps. The cafe is not just part of the furniture, but it actually has a soul.
thing.
Yeah, it's its own thing. Yes.
Also, what I see, it's coffee is connecting people, and art is about the same. So I think it goes very, very well together.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully it does.
But anyway, even before we started the interview, I told you that I think that industrial coffee was always like the meeting point, and it has a community around it. And you mentioned it's probably something you're not sure if was it intentional, but do you feel the same way that you have the community around the coffee?
Well, there is a group of regulars. Now that we've moved to Zbrojovka, there is more people just passing by. You know, either just walking the dogs or moms pushing the prams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is community for sure. I'm just I don't think I can judge this. I don't feel like I can judge this because we would hope there is community. And when we had the first anniversary of our roastery, there was a community coming for that, so that felt really good. But yeah, you would have to judge that, or maybe someone from our customers would have to say, because you know, like I don't see the cafe the same way other people see it. Like I walk to Milady, and I have a feeling there is a huge community, and it's I wouldn't say narrow, but like you see that it's like
I get it.
It's this kind of people who like gravitate towards melody, and kind of like that's community for me, you know, like that seems like community to me. But I'm not sure if we do this, if we created something like this, you know.
From my point of view, yes, you did, because very often, and I moved out of Brno several times, I moved back, and every time I hear from people like, yeah, we're going to Industra, it's like, you know, it's the place where people want to go, and they're going here
Like,
intentionally.
Yeah,
So
it could also be the like the interior and stuff, like, you know, walking in such a huge building and there is always something happening. Like maybe previously I've talked about it, like there is just us and other people or other stuff happening only sometimes, but like actually this month it's like 20 events in the whole calendar. You know, it could be rentals, but it's also exhibitions and theater plays. It's like there is plenty of stuff happening, and we're not even involved. We just do the coffee thing. So that could also be, like you want to see Industra because it's not just it's not the regular city center cafe. It's maybe it's experience, even though we weren't planning it. Like we're not like we're not this kind of experience kind of bar where they want to make you feel like some way and put on the aromatics in the air. We just do the coffee thing and people like it. So, and I feel good about this. Like I feel it's not pretentious. It's not trying to be something else. It's just a place which is created for people by people.
Suppose that's why it's working so well, because
hopefully
you are being just who you are, and when people see it, it's always appreciated. I feel. So do you have any idea why? Because you also mentioned Milady, another coffee place here in Brno, that why around coffee shops the community is created very often. It's not just in Czech, but also in other cities.
Well,
do you think that it's the coffee, or is it something else?
Well, I guess it's. I guess you could say that about pubs too, and it's because you're meeting friends. You go there mostly in your free time, spare time. You go there to relax or like take some time off. Like there are cafes which are full of business meetings, but I guess that's just the point of like people trying to have a good time, and they just meet other people. So yeah, why is it about coffee? Like it could be. I wouldn't say it's like it feels natural. Like where else? Pubs and cafes.
Yeah, makes sense. By the way, you mentioned that the coffee community in the Czech Republic here in Brno, and that it was evolving quite a lot. How do you see the coffee scene in the Czech Republic, or do you think it's
I think compared to other countries, we are it's a great, like it's on a great level. Because you go to Vienna, and there are a few specialty cafes, but I think you could have better, like more fun and tastier coffees if you just walk around Brno. And it feels weird, and then Petra comes back from judging Austrian barista championship, and she would be like, oh my gosh, like the level is just so low compared to Czech Republic, where the level is quite high in the competition. Also, it feels like you could get good coffee in almost like every city above maybe 30,000 people.
That's
like
true.
It's everywhere,
which is great.
I'm
very happy to
so that's good about the Czech coffee scene. I don't really have a strong experience with like maybe German coffee scene or Polish, so I can't really tell. But I feel like we're doing well. We're doing well as a Czech coffee scene. Like the coffee is seen as a, like, especially maybe out of Prague. Like Prague could be different, but all Czechs drink coffee, and it's like occasion. It's not really part of your morning routine as much. Maybe some places in Brno or other cities, but I always feel like people want to sit down, have their cake and their coffee, and take it slow. So that really doesn't help us with the volumes and kind of like turnover of the chairs. I'm not complaining. It's just like it's different to maybe Germany or
it's maybe different coffee culture.
Yeah. So that is different, and you can see that in Prague. Like Prague seems like metropolitan in that way, that people are just queuing out the door for their takeaway cups, and
It's true. It's interesting observation that like in some places in Prague you can see in espresso shops that there is the morning rush
Yeah.
rush hour,
Yeah.
but sometimes in Brno you don't really
You
see
don't
it.
really get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we
Interesting.
like Brno. Like we like Brno for what it is, and for the pace it's got, because Prague is overwhelming.
Yeah.
At least for us, and it's always been like we didn't really wanted to go to Prague to open Industra Coffee 10 years ago, because it felt a bit rushed already, and 10 years later, it's crazy.
Is it the London experience?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, kind of course.
Yeah, because anytime when I came to London, you had some urge just to move a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's and it never stops. Like for years, we would be closed Mondays, Tuesdays, and we thought that it's our weekend, But you never have a proper weekend if you try to have a weekend on a weekday when everyone works.
Yeah.
The city just got this working buzz, and we only just found out with the daughter, because when she goes to kindergarten, we try to work, and when she's having a weekend, we try to have a weekend with her or holiday. And so just now we realized what a Saturday in Brno is like. It's really chill. It's so slow. And then what do? You go to a cafe, and that's why we are so busy. Like that's our busiest days, Saturdays, Sundays. So yeah, so you have to kind of try to fit that into your lifestyle, and I feel like working in gastronomy, you have to give up partly this, like give up your free time, give up part of your life at least. Hopefully not too much or for not too long, so that you can also have some time for yourself, because it's good to keep it.
Of course, it's important, but yeah, I suppose you never realize as a customer that is it a little bit of a service to the others, maybe to the community as well.
It is, of course, it is
creating space for others to meet and to have a great time. Anyway, we spoke about the Industra Coffee. It's always been a little bit of unusual places. A little bit hard to find, perhaps, as well. Remember your first place, it felt, going through that industrial area. Now it's the same. So it seems like a pattern, or is it just a coincidence?
No, I mean, it's not coincidence. It's if you try to find a spot for all the activities that were mentioned already, you can't really go to the city center, and so you need somewhere else to go, and so that's how it happens. Like it's not really intentional of like we're gonna open a cafe or creativity hub at the weird spot. It's more like necessity, because you need a huge area. Excuse me. You need a huge space. Hopefully, cheap rent. And so that's how this happens. Like it's mostly just practical reasons.
I see. But were you surprised that people found their way quite quickly? Like
in here?
Yeah, even in the first place. Like
well, I'm not sure if that was quick. I wouldn't say it was quick.
Maybe in my social bubble it was quick.
Well, yeah, but like knowing about it is one thing, but actually like visiting regularly, it's a different story, because like weekdays at the old location were always slow, like
because you have to go there intentionally.
Yeah, and you really like, and that's a bit of a difference when we talked about Prague and Brno. If you go for coffee for 20 minutes in Prague because you like the coffee place, it's actually close.
Yeah, true.
But Brno, if you tell someone, travel 20 minutes, and it's also, it's been the direction where there is nothing else, it's not like travel towards Veveří or travel towards Královo Pole. It was like south, and there is nothing. It was like industrial. There is like a plumbing wholesale shop. So people knew about us, but that doesn't really translate into like how busy or how successful that cafe was. So yeah, that's like Instagram versus reality. It's like how popular is this place and how crowded is it really?
Do you think it's important to also take the experience outside of the city center, especially in cities like Brno, where everything sort of gravitates to the city center because it's quite...
I think it's good. I think it's good. Also, just because of the competition in the city center, you know, like there is just huge amount of like quality cafes, not even thinking about the low quality or not so special places. So I wonder if the city center ever needs more cafes, you know, especially specialty cafes. And you can see that, you know, also in the smaller towns, but also at kind of different areas of Brno. Like there are just places in the residential areas, and they're really happy because they have plenty of people living there. Nowhere else you can go if you don't travel to the city center. So they're okay with that, and I think it's good. It really, like, why not? Why not?
I think it is nice to see coffee shops also outside of the city center in unusual locations, because I think they bring something else to it, and as we discussed, it's a good experience for the locals as well. But anyway, I know that in here, like, the development of the area is sort of happening, like, not because you initiated it, because the whole area is being redeveloped. But do you think that coffee shops, they have some role in when something like this is happening? Do they bring more life to it? Maybe bring more people?
Well, I think that's the whole reason why Industra is in Newsbrovka right now. And that's also why they approached us and offered this space for us to be in here for a few years. We don't know what's gonna happen in 3-4 years when they got to this building especially and try to renovate the neighboring buildings. But that was the whole idea, like just to bring life to the otherwise just empty, partly renovated brownfield.
I also wanted to ask about your another pop-up shop that you had on the periphery of Brno. What was the...
Well, it's
what
at
happened?
the Raječek farm.
Yes.
They have a huge greenhouses for planting tomatoes, growing tomatoes. And there is a old building which they didn't use. They didn't have a use for it. And so we asked last season if we could do a pop-up there. And it was really nice because the outdoor seating is really nice and the atmosphere. It's, as you mentioned, it's a periphery, but it wasn't far from the old location. So I feel like people who wanted to go out for a weekend really enjoyed visiting there. And it was actually, the last season was better than this season. And maybe that's also because we don't know if it's the war. It could also be that the outdoor seating here is really nice, so you don't have to go to Raječek. I don't know. We see what's gonna happen with that one. I mean, I'd like to continue, but we'll see how we do it, just to make it work.
Sure. But you mentioned in the beginning that you like not creating purposely the experience for your customers, but somehow, like, I think this planning and trying to bring coffee to to outside areas to have it enjoyed, it is sort of an experience that you are...
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but this one, it really is just trying to bring life to the farm, and also use building which is not being used for anything else, and seeing it as an opportunity, because as we mentioned many times, we maybe it's this, maybe we're afraid to like go for a big project, pay big rents, and hope that it's gonna work out. We kind of just go with trying maybe cheaper options and creating experiences where it's easier, maybe easier. I don't know. Is it easier?
Not sure.
Uh,
It's different.
It's different, yeah. Well, but that also should help, because trying to open another Scandinavian-looking cafe, it's just like, isn't that a bit,
Boring.
Well, I don't want to say boring. I don't want to.
More common,
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah.
So is it also, are you trying to make coffee more accessible to different locations, or is it just coincidence?
I don't think we're like looking at map and thinking where those people can get coffee. Yeah, we should open here now. It's just like we know Matej from Czech, and they were nice people, and we wanted to have a pop up at the farmer store. It's more like this kind of story rather than seeing the map and looking which area needs coffee.
Speaking about the area and coffee, so what do you think what role coffee has in the society? Do you think it brings people together?
I'm not sure. Like this sounds a bit too political to me because
No, it's not. It's not. It's not about politics.
Well, it's definitely like we maybe we've mentioned before. I feel like it's something people could do together if they're not willing to, or they can't go out to pubs and bars. There is a trend of not drinking so much, which I'm for, and so it's also a good getaway, good reason to see your friends, family. Yeah, if coffee brings people together, like it definitely brings people in our lives together. That's for sure. If it's like all people in general, I don't think so. It could be like our bubble of like young people who maybe are self-employed, people who live in Brno. And like I feel like it's bubble. It can seem like all the people enjoy going out to cafes, and it's pretty nice and pretty common. But I wouldn't say it's for all people in general.
No, it's probably true. Because I was going to ask you, you did, and you are still doing a lot of events. You also did festivals with food and coffee. So, do you actually enjoy, bringing people together, like for this?
Yeah, I
this
mean,
type
of course. Like we do enjoy it, and also like as I already said, why else would we do it? Like we do it for people. Like it's for people to have good time, and that's also the goal of the cafe. Like why else? Like you could imagine that you showcase the Ethiopian coffee or the Brazilian coffee, and I mean it's there, it's part of the story, but really like very few people are really interested in what you're actually grinding today, like what's in your hopper.
Yeah,
it's just a nice moment in your maybe busy life, nice bit of positivity in your tough life. I don't know, like, but it's the whole experience. It's not just the cup and the flavor profile of that cup of coffee.
I think you're right. It's more about being with people you like, who you love, having good time, and coffee just is it's not what creates it, but it's just what maybe
makes it happen.
Makes it happen. Yeah.
The reason why people, it's a good excuse.
True. Anyway, but you started recently with roasting 1 year ago, and part of it that you mentioned on the website, that you want to make it a bit more open to people, like you don't want to keep the coffee roasting behind closed doors. Why did you decide to do it?
Well, you know,
invite people.
like we worked in coffee for years and years, and we've been to few roasteries, but not many. Like it's not easy to just knock the door and be like, oh, can I see how it happens? So we would like to invite people in. We've had plenty, or like we've had a few groups, either professionals from restaurant, but also just people from random office doing, I don't know what kind of, like what exactly. And they would just come in and see how it works, and see how it's done, and taste our coffee, and they hopefully have a bigger understanding of what it takes.
Yeah.
And what's all the work behind it, but also maybe a bit more appreciation for the good quality. So yeah. So if you wish to bring your friends in, just give us a shout.
Sure, no, I think it's interesting to see coffee roasting, because, as you said, it's somehow like or mythical. You don't very see it often, or it's not that approachable. You can,
Yeah.
and I think the smell, it's all like the smell of the coffee roasting. It's really specific smell, and it's nice actually. Like, and I believe you're right. You can see the value behind it. So, what were the reactions of the people who came to visit? Like, were they aware of?
Well, no, I don't think so. You know, like for some people, they see the green bean for the first time in their life. So yeah, but who knows? Like you would have to ask them. I don't know. Hopefully they liked it. They said they liked it. But like if it's you know, life-changing experience, or if it's changing the way you see coffee for good, I don't know. Hopefully.
Do you think it's important to sort of educate the public about specialty coffee? What is it?
Well, I think it's good to make it accessible, but if like I don't think it's necessary, or it's you know, it's always the people who have to have the interest. You know, if they don't have the interest, then what's the point of coming in and seeing it? Like
yeah, true.
Yeah, they're not gonna take away anything.
There has to be the interest in the first place. But I'm also curious, when you started roasting, how difficult was it for you, like to start?
Well, we've had a great consultant who had the same machine, so we would just exchange our cupping notes, and he would look at the curves, the temperature curves of our roasts, and we would be like, yeah, this is good, but it's got the harsh finish in there, and he would be like, yeah, try this. And we tried, and then it was few months of just going emails or online calls, but since he had a same machine and he was up for teaching us, it was really good fun.
I was asking about building the supply chain. Like, was it difficult, like starting from scratch?
Well, I wouldn't say it was difficult, and there is always people who want to sell green coffee to you, and you just need to choose the right ones. And the other thing what comes to my mind is it's never done. Like I don't feel like it's done. We're at the beginning, and in the beginning we went with people who had a wide offering, but the traceability is not always towards the single farmer. It's sometimes we have like a regional select, like we would have coffee from Peru, and it's just like a regional blend of different farmers. And so we feel like, you know, then the traceability, the control on like what impact, and hopefully good impact we're making. We don't know. And so that's something we would like to work on better. And like you say roasting coffee, but the roasting itself right now seems the easiest part. Harder could be finding the great green beans and finding suppliers who share our values and who also have a good tasting coffees.
Yep.
And then what also is not as easy is just selling the coffee or finding the customers, finding cafes who'd like to serve our coffee, possibly regularly, not just once in 2 months. So that's the tricky part, and it's never done. Like being so small, it really is a bit too small.
Yep.
Because shipping, like even if you find a really good supplier of coffee from, let's say, Guatemala, like saying I want 10 bags of this Guatemala, it's like a huge deal for us, and it would really have to be coffee for a few months for roastery our size. So like we need to grow a bit still.
I see. But anyway, you mentioned that you were looking for suppliers with your values, and that sometimes the traceability wasn't there. So, like the impact on farmers, is it something that it's important for you?
Yeah, but also on our planet, because coffee farming is not easy with climate change, and people use different fertilizers and pesticides, but you can always choose the better ones, or possibly organic, and then you can just choose the tools that just make your crop more yielding, more resistant, possibly not as tasty, possibly harming the planet. And so that's something we would like to know more about and choose wisely. Because also with the huge growth of specialty drinkers and a huge number of specialty roasters, there is a demand for green coffee, and there is just not as much of it. And so you see huge monocultures, forests being put down so you can grow coffee in a huge monoculture, which has got its own problems.
Of course.
So there is a responsibility for everything we do, because we can also try to find coffee where it's grown and the Mother Earth is not in trouble because of what we do. So that's a hope or vision, or maybe something we need to work at, and we need to focus on.
What do you think is your role in it then? As a roaster, what can you do about it?
Well, we can definitely choose where we buy from, and we can demand the information, and we can maybe choose not to buy something which we don't agree with, at least, but we need to know first.
Is it difficult to get the information from the importers?
Well, I think so. Like, the bigger they are, the more difficult it is, of course. It could be that the bigger they are, the less time they have to care, or less, it's a shame. But still, like, you do have, and it's also like you're trying to balance out, or maybe we try to balance out the flavor, the price, and the good for planet factor.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a tricky one.
It is tricky. It's like a minefield to go through. I can imagine. I wanted to speak about the book that you also published with Petra.
Well, it's mostly Petra's
It's
book.
mostly Petra, of
Yeah.
course, but you are the contributor, one of them. Sadly, she's not here, so I can't ask her about it. But do you enjoy working on it?
Well, as I said, it's mostly Petra's book, so she did huge part of the writing, and I've read parts. I've had my comments. Maybe I helped out with some photo shooting and stuff, but it's really her project, and I think she enjoyed it. She's proud of it.
It's nice, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I'm not sure if she's gonna do another one. We'll see how the sales go as well. Like if we sell what's been printed. Yeah.
And is it part of your desire to make coffee more open, more inclusive, more accessible?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess that was Petra's motivation. It's also like it's not a book for coffee professionals. It's a book for people like, we like she would think about her mom and think like, would she get it? Would that be understandable? Of course, some coffee pros can say, "Oh, this has been too simplistic," but it's really like tried to be written for really general public to try to introduce coffee to them. Hopefully, spark that enthusiasm. If you're into it, you can read to some degree like hard to get stuff about water.
Yeah.
It's there, but you can also just go through the recipes and read about coffee processing, and you'll be fine.
No, I think it's working because I bought it to my sister who is starting with specialty coffee. She's exploring how to, and she said it was really helpful. She's enjoying and learning more about it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, that's a good review. That's good.
It was a nice birthday present actually for her. Very helpful. Anyway, so we're coming to a close, but I wanted to ask you bit more personal questions. First of them is, what's your favorite coffee brew method? Like, what's your favorite brew method?
Well, I saw the question in advance, and I was like, oh, is there a favorite brewing method? Well, first of all, like I really enjoy the process. Like it's fun. Right now, I can't even really drink coffee. I spit out, like 99% of what I taste because it doesn't really make me feel good, unfortunately. But I really like the process of making it. Like speaking about the book, we used the Hario V60 since day one in our cafe.
It's the classic.
As the classic. And if you think about it, like there has been a huge deal of innovation in espresso. There is like WDT and special tempers and new grinders and good shower screens, but the V60 is still the same and it works. And we know more about brewing it than we knew 10 years ago. But it didn't really change much, and it still works. So that's really good. Espresso is always fun, and if it's like really tasty espresso is a treat. Like it's really good. So I like that. I like the texture as well as the flavor. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really like. Even in our cafe, we always try to sell the coffee, not the method. So we don't really talk about like V60. We always were like, we have this Guatemala, or we have this Ethiopia, or we have Kenya. And we didn't want to have people choose the method and they would come in and they would say, I have the AeroPress. Because, it's just a tool. So
yeah. I agree.
Like it's fun, and I know Petra's favorite is the Carlsbad thing. I'm not sure if you know it.
No, but I was looking at it when I came in.
Yeah,
thinking,
so she found this one during the research for her book, and it's like a dripper, but there is a ceramic mesh on the bottom.
Oh, that's nice.
So you didn't use filter, and it's like a partly no bypass, which is trendy now, and it's in here already, you know. So that's fun, and she really enjoyed some coffees from it. So yeah, it's like it's fun world, but I wouldn't say there is one method that I really like or it's my favorite.
Yeah, I understand. And what I agree with is that it's mostly about the coffee that you put in, not about the process, how you make it. It's just about the beans. The second, by the way, was this made for coffee origin, or is it for
I
something?
think so. Yeah.
I didn't include it, but who's your coffee hero? As the channel is named Coffee Heroes.
So I guess it's it must be James Hoffman, because we were a huge fans of Square Mile.
Mm-hmm.
We always served it at Industra Coffee before we started roasting, and we always liked their roasting style. And you know, I would read his blog posts. He would go into depth, and you know, he was weighing his espresso before I even made my first espresso in my life. So that must be my coffee hero. And now I enjoy his funny videos.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. So that must be my coffee hero for sure.
Cool. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
It was very interesting, and yeah, just good luck with all your endeavors, and I'm looking forward to seeing Industra growing and growing.
Cheers. Have a good day.